Great. I'm going to ask Lizanne and Christie to step up to the stage with me while I do a quick share here. Great. While the ladies are jumping in, I just want to give you guys a little bit of context. We're very excited about the next session as well. So Lizanne Joubert is one of the senior most chartered accountants in Team Outsource CFO who's been with us for a good many years. She's going to be talking about just females supporting entrepreneurs out in the ecosystem. And she's going to be interviewed by our very own Christie Fourie, who's in the systems team at Outsource CFO. Ladies, we're very excited to hear what you guys have come up with. Lizanne, are you able to jump on with your camera as well, please?
Hello, I would love to, but for some reason I'm now getting a fail to start video camera message. So
okay.
I'm getting a message from our host to start it, but for some reason
It's not going.
No.
Okay.
That's
sure. Okay. We can hear you nice and clearly. Christie, maybe you can just guide the conversation with Lizanne. If the camera sorts itself out, that's perfect. If it doesn't, at least you guys have seen what Lizanne looks like.
Excellent. Thanks, Lo. And yeah, it's a great privilege and honor to be introducing and interviewing Lizanne Joubert today. She's actually a personal mentor of mine and somebody whose career I've been watching very closely. So it's really special to be able to speak to you today, Lizanne, and to hear your insights and thoughts as a woman in business. Okay. Lizanne, tell me a little bit about yourself. I think, we'd love to get a bit of context of your journey, and I think specifically, why did you decide to invest in the entrepreneurial sector specifically?
So I think I'm sort of an employee in an entrepreneurial environment, if that makes sense. Similar to Keelan's experience that she explained earlier, I started, I'm obviously an accountant, and I started my career in Cape Town, and I then moved to London, where I spent about 9 years in the UK, which was a wonderful experience for me. But I missed family and I missed sunshine and guaranteed summer, and I returned to South Africa. And for me, at that stage, one of the things I really wanted to do on my return was to actually make a difference on an individual level to people. Because at that stage I was working, while I was in the UK, I worked for companies where I wouldn't always even know the board of directors that I would report to. And the shareholders were definitely faceless people behind names. So for me, being at Outsource CFO definitely brought two of my passions together. The one being in finance, and the other, on every single day, I have the opportunity to make a difference or to add value to individual entrepreneurs. So I can see, the difference that what I do make on a person who is an entrepreneur and who owns their own business, either in their own lives or how it impacts their employees and their clients. So yeah, that's what I really love about the whole entrepreneurial sector.
Fantastic, Lizanne. And I think you are an invaluable asset to have on a team of entrepreneurs, and forging their way through the business environment, especially in all of the uncertainty over the last couple of years. I guess my next question really follows on, just as a CFO to multiple companies. You've had so many opportunities to help entrepreneurs grow and scale and succeed. So I would love to know, what advice would you give to female entrepreneurs regarding their do's and don'ts?
I think my advice would probably be the same as what I would give to any entrepreneur. It will definitely be to start off with a passion, and to start a business and do something that you have a passion for and that you enjoy. Because you're probably not going to do this for 8 hours a day. It will probably be more. And you'll probably not only do this from Monday to Friday, it will probably creep into the rest of your weekend. So, it's important that you're in an environment and in an industry that you enjoy and that you have a passion for. I think it's important to surround yourself with the right team members, people who are competent and people who can support you in order for you to take the leadership position. If you are the leader and specifically of people in that company or in your entity, I think it's important to be true to yourself in your decisions that you make. I realize that's probably not always an easy thing, but I think if you don't stick to that, it can very easily start to create resentment, sort of internal resentment as to how you run your company. And I think then the old thing about, when you make decisions, so often we have to choose between our hearts and our heads. And I read actually something this morning which put it brilliantly. It said, if you can't choose between the heart and your head, follow your gut. So I really love that. And, I have a client, for instance, he's actually a male client, and he runs his business by following his gut. And it happens so many times that I would do calculations and I would say, it doesn't make sense. The numbers don't add up. I don't recommend that you buy this asset, or go into this side business or whatever. But somehow for him, it always works out. And sometimes he'll follow advice. Sometimes he'll continue to follow his gut. But yeah, it always works out. So yeah, those would be my top do's and don'ts, I think.
That's fantastic, Lizanne. I think just to lead on to that, following your gut, I think, something women have in abundance is that intuition. And I think it's very interesting, to almost start leveraging that as, a natural gifting, this ability to sort of see things from a 360 perspective and really get a sense of, the environment without it necessarily being said. So I think that's really quite a strong point that many women possess, and also men. But I'd love to hear from you if you think there are any other sort of superpowers that you've seen your female clients, possess. Is there anything else that you think, us females we've really got a knack of doing this sort of thing? What do you think it is?
Probably a juggling and a balancing act.
Yes.
I think I think balancing, I think for everyone, especially lately, it's difficult to balance work and balance what they do at home. I think traditionally, for females, it's still more difficult potentially than for other people, and just balancing all of that. I have a friend, for instance, who's I always think of her when I feel overwhelmed with things that I need to do, but she has a part-time job. She supports her husband, who's running his own company. She's busy with her master's degree. She has 4 kids who she homeschools. So I always think,
wow.
Yeah. And then I'm thinking, okay, here's me with, I don't have any kids. We just need to look after myself and my partner and my clients, really. I'm feeling overwhelmed. So yeah, I always take my hat off to people who, who have various different, if you look at that balanced wheel of life, who have various different things that they need to focus on. So yeah, definitely juggling and balancing, I think.
Sure, I think that's so true. I'm just thinking of my elder sister. We have a family business, and over the last couple months, it's just been absolutely chaotic. She's got a toddler and a newborn. And it's just incredible to see just that resolve to continue to push through as an entrepreneur, because of that passion and that drive that she has to see the vision that she has fulfilled. And I think ties into your piece of advice about doing something that you're really passionate about. I think especially as a woman, you have to have a sense of purpose in what you're doing, because oftentimes you're going to have to make decisions and prioritize, what to sacrifice almost in order to, stick to that vision. Albeit that you might not get much sleep, or you might have to work at strange hours. So I think that juggling ability coupled with that passion and that drive is really critical to be successful. Yay, you're back online.
Yay, I'm back. Oh, but I look a bit stretched, don't I?
You look good to me on my side. Awesome, Lizanne. Thanks for that. I think to just touch on Kaylin's incredible presentation. I mean, Kaylin, thank you so much. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. But just speaking into, the idea of sort of this juggling as a woman, whether you decide to have a family or not, I think there is a certain amount of support that is needed. I think I'd love to speak to that point specifically. Sort of what does support look like for women in business? And I think the first aspect of that I'd like you to unpack, Lizanne, is what do you think female entrepreneurs specifically can do to support themselves? And I mean this in a general sense. So I think, you can speak to whatever aspect of that you think is applicable.
Christie, I think again, what I mentioned before about surrounding themselves with the right people, whether that's in your business, whether that's friends or family, supporting you in that. I think that's, to me, is very important, because it's, as Lo mentioned earlier, entrepreneurship can be a very lonely journey. So you do need the support of those people around you. I think, taking time out for themselves. And, as I mentioned, my friend earlier, with all those things that she's doing, I can't imagine where she has time for herself. And maybe that's the feeling for many other female entrepreneurs as well. But I know that's one of the things that energizes me. I need a lot of alone time by myself. So, and it may not necessarily be, being on your own, but doing something fun with your kids, or doing something fun with your family and your friends. So I think, and then something that's been talked about so often over the last while is self-care. What do you do for yourself that is taking care of yourself? So I think all those things are super important.
Definitely, Lizanne. I think self-care is the first thing to go out the window when you're needing to really replenish yourself. And I think women specifically, we tend to serve others and sacrifice that sense of self and that sense of what is important to replenish me. The best version of myself that I can be is one that is fully energized, fully restored, and not completely tapped out on all fronts. So I think it is super critical that we mention that. And I think self-care does get bandied about quite quickly and quite, without any real acknowledgement. But we do really need to take it seriously in order to be effective in the workplace and in any other sphere of life. So I definitely agree with you there.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'd love to hear a little bit about, you mentioned a bit about your own support structures. Would you mind sort of expanding on that a little bit?
Sure. I think, my partner is a great support for me. He's also working in the entrepreneur industry. So we bounce a lot of ideas off each other. So for me, he's a great support. I find, especially over the last few months, I need, especially with us not being able to have big get-togethers with friends and family as we could in the past, it's still very important to me to have a group, to spend time with a group of female friends, just having that female energy and share ideas as to how we experience things. So that's, having that support. And I guess then, making sure that I'm that I'm supporting myself. As you say, you know, in a way, our cups need to be full in order to give elsewhere and to give it work. And as I've said, you know, to me, I know I need alone time. And I take that alone time by going for walks and doing yoga. And I guess I create the time by organizing small things in my life. I know for some people, cooking is, you know, a hobby and a big thing. It's not something I enjoy at all. So for me, a big treat is somehow ordering, you know, ready-made meals, you know, say once a week, and give myself a day off, a few days a week. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. Just like sort of, I don't know, limiting your own, well, at least knocking down some of those expectations of having, you know, a home cooked meal, you know, ready for yourself and your partner, or whatever the case may be, because you've decided to prioritize something else. It's like you kind of choose what your priorities are, what's important to you, and build your life around that rather than these perceived expectations, which is, yeah, I definitely struggle with that. I'm newly married, so I'm like, everything needs to be organized.
I'll send you a link for the home cooked meals.
I'm not there yet. I'm not there.
Oh, okay.
No, thanks for sharing some of your tips on that regard. And I think, yeah, I suppose in a business context, I'd also love you to sort of expand a little bit on kind of the role that you play for the female clients that you have, and what kind of support are you offering your clients, your female clients specifically, that you would say is unique to them? If you can expand on that a little.
I think I find, you know, my main role is obviously being a consultant and giving advice, but I think I find myself in, you know, monthly or weekly check-ins with my entrepreneurs very easily jumping, you know, from consulting to mentoring to coaching to just listening, you know, for whatever is going on in their lives or in their business. So I especially like the, you know, the mentoring and the consulting bit as well, to bring that in, because sometimes people don't just need to hear what I think they need to do or what somebody else thinks they need to do. But, you know, by asking the right questions, somebody can get their own insights, which has a lot more power than being told what to do as such.
Sure. So you're kind of facilitating like a discovery process as part of your consultation.
Yeah, I think it depends on what the topic is. It depends on the, you know, what's going on in the person's business. Sometimes, you know, obviously if it's something complex, like an accounting or tax issue, it won't help if I ask what's their idea or what they think the outcome should be. But, you know, on other things that, you know, that's not black and white and doesn't necessarily have a yes, no answer. It's great to bring that coaching side in.
Okay, fantastic. Sure, Lizanne, thank you so much for sharing those insights. I really, I just appreciate all of those golden nuggets. And just thank you again for your investment into the entrepreneurial community. Just don't do it alone, I think is something that really resonates out of this, is don't do it alone, get the support you need, and use it.
Well,
thanks.
Always lovely chatting to you.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, Lizanne. Thank you, Christie. Thank you for sharing with us. Really great to hear all of that. Super appreciated as always.
Hey, Lo here. I'm one of the founders of Outsource CFO. If you like this video, don't forget to click subscribe below. We'll see you next time.